I say you are listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espinlove Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
It's good to be with you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Your greetings are always so generous. All righty. To all our friends.
You'll be able to hear it coming out of my set.
Excuse me about that. To all of our friends down the street, around the corner, across this nation and around the world, you are listening to the George Espinlove Show. And my, do we have an exciting show for you tonight. What about that one last night, huh? About the President John F. Kennedy's assassination, Dealey Plaza thing, huh? Yeah. Man, did we have a good time last night. And you know what? You know what else? I got that Oswald book. I brought it down on my Kindle, and I didn't start it because I knew that once I got into it, I wouldn't get myself back up to do anything else until I finished it. So, it's in my Kindle. My Kindle is over there on my desk. But the first chance I get, be it tomorrow or Saturday, most definitely, I am going to get into that little puppy, and I'm going to have myself a good time. But that was last night. Tonight, we have with us, and let me get my gizmo here. I got to get myself hooked up here. Hold on with me for just a second. Okay. All right. Thank you, Charlie. I need about 4 more hands. Let me get this thing situated here. Okay, round and around, and around we go. Where it stops, nobody knows. Okay. All right. If I get this thing turned around right. Okay.
Yeah, then boy, if you cough, they won't pick it up. Yeah.
We have with us tonight a man who has wrote a most intriguing book. His name is Robert Reiland, and he wrote Jesus and the Third Temple, and it is thorough, trust me. Robert, welcome to the program.
Thank you, George. It's a pleasure to be here. Welcome to it.
I have looked at the material, and I thought, there is no way that we could cover such a vast subject in one night.
Certainly not.
So,
almost 700 pages.
Yeah, what is it? 692 pages, in depth. It's a marvelous piece of work. Could you give us a little background of yourself?
I am 88 years old. I'm one of the generation that Tom Brokaw wrote about, of course. I was born in 1924 and lived through the Depression. I was just old enough to realize what was going on. I'm watching the anxiety and sadness of the adults as they struggled through that period. And then, of course, I got into World War II. Well, I was born in Chicago, by the way, and I got to go to the Chicago World's Fair when I was 9 and 10 years old. Of all the ages to be for the fair, oh, wow, was that ever great. And then I moved to a small town in Indiana and lived there about 5 years. And then I moved to Tampa and then I went back to Chicago and graduated senior year of high school, and then I went to college and became aeronautical engineer, and managed to get enough deferments to get my degree just before I was drafted. And I was a field artilleryman. Wasn't in aviation. My eyes were too bad. I was barely qualified to be on the ground forces or even be drafted. But I served in the Pacific and then in the Japan occupation, and then I came home and I went to work for North American Aviation. That's where I cut my teeth in the industry. And I joined the National Guard while I was there because it looked like we were going to go at it with the Chinese and the Russians. And so I decided I'd get myself a good spot this time instead of having to come up private. So sure enough, we were so good that we got called up when the North Koreans invaded South Korea, and we got to go to Korea. So I went back to seconds. Of course, I came up through the ranks. I was what they call a Mustang.
Mustang, yes.
Got commissioned in the field, and I stayed in for a little while after I got back. But then my aviation career started to move on, and I went cross country, a hopscotch to leapfrog, one company to another, and over a period of 50 years. And I worked on some of the most magnificent flying machines that were ever in history. I mean, my resume looks like a history of aviation from World War II up to present day. It's just remarkable, the opportunities that I had. But then I became born again. After going to church, many, many years, after I was in middle age, I found out that God's word, he meant what he said, and he said what he meant.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing that happened was the scales were removed from mine eyes on eschatology, even though my wife and I had both read Hal Lindsey's book when it was a bestseller when it first came out, The Late Great Planet Earth. It went in one eye and out the other,
mm-hmm.
because we weren't spirit stimulated yet. We just weren't on board. And so we read through it, what do you know about that? Man? But now when I go back and read it, oh, wow. we are on the same page. I got to meet Hal Lindsey. He was preaching at a service, and I didn't get to talk to him very long, but I owe him, and a lot of others as well. But then I got curious. I started reading the Bible cover to cover. I read 5 translations, believe it or not, and every time I came to the part where the glory of the Lord left the temple in Ezekiel 8-11, I wondered how must the children of Israel felt. What did the priest say to them? What will I tell the king? The Shekinah is gone. That's the Hebrew pronunciation for what the preachers call a Shekinah glory.
Yes, Shekinah glory.
Shekinah is the Hebrew correct pronunciation, and I wondered what happened. How that must be written down somewhere. How they felt, what was going on, and I looked everywhere. And finally I was reading a book that a scholar whom I supported had sent to me, and I stuck it on my bookshelf. I swear, about 3 years, and I finally decided to read it. And I came to the book of Acts, and he said, and about this time, a remarkable event occurred. The divine presence of the Lord departed from the temple and left Jerusalem. And he referenced Midrash, Lamentations, part 25, poems, And Josephus, Wars 5, 5, so on and so on. Gosh, I got Josephus right here on my bookshelf. And I reached on there, and wow, they're told it in enormous detail. And it changed my life, really. But even before that, my life was changed when I found out about eschatology, the study of the time of the end. Mm-hmm. And, I haven't been the same since. But I decided when I found that story, I had to write about it. I had to tell the world. And so I wrote a book, which was entitled The Fire and the Cloud, as it were. Pillar of Fire by night, a pillar of cloud by day. It's a pretty obvious title. And then I learned about Wendell Jones and his search for the ashes of the red heifer. And I got into that, and I got a hold of Talmud and Midrash for my own at the local synagogue library. And so I would go down there and dig into the law and study it until I finally got my own edition of the Sonsino Talmud. And now, of course, I have CD-ROM. One click on a word and it's there, you know. It's just a marvelous tool. But the story just began to snowball from there on. Once I found out about the red heifer, then I got curious about the Jewish Passover, how the law reflected Jesus in the law, and that's one thing about the Talmud. I mean, a lot of people ridicule the Talmud or had negative comments about it. It's just written by men, you know. There can't be any spiritual value to that, blah, blah. Well, I compare it to out at the county dump here where I live. There are people that go out there and make a living, George, by combing through the refuse for good things that they can sell. And it's the same way with the works of man. I mean, if God has anything to do with it at all, you will see his imprint in there if you look. Mm-hmm. That's what I do. I look, and I find. He leads me to it, I'm sure. But I have found, well, you've looked at the book. I have found marvelous things in there that are conveyed from Christ through Judaism. And the only way you'll find them is by studying Judaism. Mm-hmm. After all, he said, I'm come to fulfill the law. Well, shouldn't we at least be curious as to how he did that? And I have found many, many ways. Well, just one example of it is the red heifer ceremony. The law of the red heifer ceremony points to the crucifixion, the resurrection, and the ascension of Yeshua. And but the only way you'll see it is if you look in these Judaica volumes. And it is, I just cannot describe what it has done for my spirituality. It's made me a stronger Christian. I've grown by studying these things, where I would not have grown otherwise. And I hope that fills you in. I'm going on and on here. That's absolutely amazing.
First of all, I want to say thank you for your service to our country. You are one of the very few Second World War veterans that is still here with us.
We're dying at 1,200 a day.
Yeah. And I count it a real, and I mean this, I count it a real privilege to be able to speak with you tonight. And I want to thank you for coming on our show.
Well, thank you. I'm an honor to be here, George.
Excuse me, I'm 64 years old. I feel like a peewee. I feel like a little kid sitting here.
Well, that's a respectable age. You got bragging rights, right?
I this book that you wrote, Jesus in the Third Temple. I mean, it is so extensive, and I'll say this lest I forget, because I can do that pretty quick anymore. I can forget what I was going to say unless I have it right in front of me. Perhaps because this is such an intriguing subject, and there's gems that men and women, boys and girls across this nation and around the world need to glean from this. Perhaps after we're done tonight, I can get in touch with you, perhaps tomorrow or sometime that's convenient for you, and we can set it up, because I would like to do a series with you on this.
Yes. I'm flexible, George. I'm retired, Every day is Saturday.
Well,
The only thing is doctor's appointments. My wife and I each have about 4 doctors.
Yeah, you lose some things, but you gain some other things, don't you?
Yeah.
But we'll get together on that, because it's so intriguing that
would be wonderful.
That men and women around the world need to hear this. When you was speaking of the Shekinah glory of the Lord, and how the Jewish people must have felt when God lifted His glory from them, excuse me, there was a particular reason when that Shekinah glory would be lifted, wasn't there?
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
When God would lift that Shekinah glory, when His presence would leave the Jewish people, He didn't do it just because He wanted to do it.
No.
There was a specific reason why that would happen, isn't there?
He knew that the temple was going to be destroyed. And he left just a few months before Titus began his siege. And talking about the way the Jewish people felt about it, I think this is best described by Josephus. Josephus was a type of Jeremiah. He saw these things coming, the way the Romans were getting more and more furious, and he was like Jeremiah was with Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar told the Jewish people that don't fight this man. He is working in an act of God. We have been disobedient, and this is our punishment. If you fight against him, he'll destroy the city and the temple and everything else. Mm-hmm. And Josephus' speech to the Israelis at his time, the first century, was met with, it was almost verbatim what Jeremiah had said, and he was met with the same reaction, stones and arrows. But some of them thought, oh, wow, the temple, the curtain is torn down, and the gates opened, and the temple is open to man, whereas it was closed before, except to the high priest once a year. And oh, this is wonderful. Whoopee! Yeah. And others said, wait a minute, this is not a good thing. When the Lord leaves the temple, it means He's going back to His place and leaving us on our own. Mm-hmm. And they recognized, some of the wiser recognized that it was very a harbinger of really bad things to come. And they reflected back, apparently the same kind of scenario occurred before Solomon's temple was destroyed. Because in one instance, one of the miracles that was in the temple was the Western Light, the one that was closest to the Holy of Holies, where the Shekinah dwelt. When that light used to outlast all of the other 6 other lamps, even though it was lighted first. And when that stopped happening, they knew, uh-oh, that's not a good sign. Yeah, so that must have happened before Solomon's temple was destroyed. That same sign must have been there, although there was no record of it. And the conservative theologians and even other theologians have assumed that Ezekiel's prophecy was fulfilled when Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the Solomon's temple. But there's no record of that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are at least three highly respected historical sources that recorded in detail what happened in the second temple when the Shekinah departed. In fact, this is the only prophecy in the Bible that I know of where we have the exact year, month, date, and hour that prophecy was fulfilled. And it was recorded by Josephus. And Josephus said that it was not a secret thing. Everybody in Jerusalem and the surrounding zones knew about this event that had occurred. And as I told you, there were mixed opinions on what that meant. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that when Titus launched his siege, they knew what meant. Why you got company?
Yeah, that's we've got a dog outside the studio, and he gets rambunctious, I guess, sometimes. But my dad used to tell me, and over the years I have watched, he used to tell me, keep your eyes on Israel.
Right.
If you want to know the signs of the time, where things are going, the stage is being set, the curtain's going up or coming down, whichever way you choose, but keep your eyes on Israel. The
Miracle nation.
Yes, the miracle nation, scattered to the four corners of the planet and gone for 2,500 years before they came back to their appointed land.
Yes.
Could you, and particularly in this day and age in which we live, Bob, people are flying so fast. They're moving faster than speeding bullets. And America has been what a lot of people have called dumbed down, and I believe that.
Yes.
They don't.
We found out the other day.
Yeah, we sure did. They don't know. They don't know. There's so many. There's so many. I call them little people. The kids. There's so many little people that knows nothing about Jesus. I mean, absolutely nothing. And this is America. And I find that very, very sad. One man said it years ago, and I heard him say it. He said, eventually, instead of us sending missionaries to the foreign field, the foreign people are going to have to come and minister to the Americans. And I believe we've reached that day and age. But nonetheless, there are so many people that don't know, don't understand, don't have no concept of Judaism, Christianity, and we're living in the most perilous times of times. And I think the clock is ticking close to the midnight hour, closer than people even realize or want to realize. How did this whole thing start? With we have Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, the tribes of Israel, the Arabs. How did this thing all start, and how did it split out that we end up with the Arabs over here and the Israelis over here? Could you explain that to us?
Yes, but before I go into that, I wanted a little sub-note on the return of Israel to the land. Mm-hmm. They have done this 3 times, George. At number 3 is very highly significant. The number of holiness, God's number of holiness. But now going to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I tell people oftentimes that Ishmael is still angry and thinks that he was cheated out of Abraham's covenant by being he and his mother Hagar being thrown out of the village, even though he did protect them with some compassion for a time.
Mm-hmm.
But Ishmael feels that he was the firstborn, and he is the father of the Arabs. And in Genesis somewhere, I forget the verse, but it tells he will be a wild man. He will be at war with the nations and his brothers, but will dwell among his brothers. Now, if ever there was a description of the Arab nations, there it is,
Mm-hmm.
written 3,500 years ago. And the other one thing is, Esau is the father of the Palestinians and the other ites in the area, and he feels that he was cheated because he swapped a bowl of lentil soup for his heritage. He didn't think anything more of his heritage than that, and he was hungry at the time. Said, "Oh, what the heck? I'll just trade my brother my heritage for my birthright for a bowl of soup because I'm really hungry." And so Jacob took him up on it, and that's where we are. Those two issues are still at the root of what we are seeing today with the strife between Israel and her neighbors, Arabs and Palestinians.
And they've been at war with one another ever since.
Yeah.
Some
They
people.
never forget.
Go ahead.
They have long memories.
Yeah. Yes. You're the. I don't know if I read it or I had a guest on that said the same thing. They have long memories. They just don't forget.
Right.
But it was all prophesied way back then that it was going to be this way throughout history, but yet it's been ignored. So we've got Israel coming back to their homeland for the third time. Each time that they were led into captivity, the first time and the second time, was because of their total disobedience to God. Now, there are things in the Scripture that many people don't quite understand, in the Old Testament particularly, is when Israel would go into battle against the enemies, God would tell them to destroy man, woman, child, beast, blah, 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 every living thing.
Chickens and everything, right.
And some people say, well, how can he be a God of love if he told the Israelis to do that? Could you explain that?
Well, those people aren't knowledgeable about the people that he was talking about. The Canaanites, for example, who were in the land when they came to the Promised Land. God told them, as you mentioned, to destroy all of them. Chickens, hogs, everything. And those people were sacrificing babies. They still find urns and things with fetus skeletons in them over there. And God abhors abortion, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this nation better learn that pretty quick, or they're going to be judged if they haven't been already. But that is, God is very, he's a just God and a loving God. But don't forget that he's just. And that means that if somebody is out of line, he's going to put them in their place and teach them a lesson. Or maybe even eliminate them. If they don't worship him anyway, so he doesn't know them. He loves them, but they don't know him. They won't come to him. And this is a lesson to a lot of people around today. like you say, the dumbing down of America. But one thing I have on that is it comes up all the time. This business about the Mayan calendar. I mean, horrible thing is going to happen to the world on the 21st of December this year. Well, the people that are saying that don't believe the Bible, or they've never heard of the biblical prophecies. It just ain't going to happen that soon. Jesus is going to come back pretty quick, according to my figures, and he's going to reign on earth in an earth of complete peace and harmony. No tears, no crime, no wars for 1,000 years. And it will be like it was before Adam and Eve made their mistake. The world is going to be, the earth's going to be perfect. And for 1,000 years. But then, in order to test those people who have never seen sin, he's going to release Satan from his chains for a little while, and they're going to have to make their decision also. Just as God let the angels have a choice, and some of them decided to go with Lucifer, and others were faithful to remain in his service. God doesn't want any robots. He gives all of us, everybody that he created, a choice. And but his secret is that he knows what choice we're going to make before we. Isn't that remarkable?
We're the only.
How are you going to win against a guy like that?
We're the only species that has been given the privilege of choice, and I find that remarkable. Go ahead.
Talking about the word "only," that's another one that I point out to people. You have all these other religions nowadays, besides Judaism and Christianity. We have these New Age religions that are popping up, the Urantia book, and we have Buddhism and Islam, and a whole bunch of others. I couldn't even begin to name. There are hundreds of them. The only religion that has a holy book that has scriptures in it that have prophecies that were events and conditions that have been predicted and have come to pass is, guess what? The only one is the Judeo-Christian Bible. Only one. And when people get into this Mayan calendar and all that, and the Urantia book and so forth, I feel sorry for them.
Yes.
The world knows that something is going to happen. God has given them an insight very subtly. They know that we're approaching the end, and that we haven't done too good a job of taking care of the earth or humanity at large, and that we're liable to pay for that. But they have all kind of ideas about who's going to pay, or if anybody's going to pay, or when, or what. It's just it's a big mystery, but it's all in the what I call the owner's manual.
That's true.
All you got to do is study it and believe it. It's all in there, and it's going to be fairly soon. I put this in the book. The prophet Hosea gives the answer to it. Only you have to know, along with that, the secret that we discussed early on here, and that was the departure of the glory from the temple, where he said, when he went over to the Mount of Olives and sat there for 3.5 years, pleading with the people, return unto me, and I will return unto you. But we would not, the rabbis say. And so he ascended into heaven and said, I will go back to my place. That's Hosea 5:15.
Oh.
And when did that occur? About 69 or 70 CE or AD or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Hosea goes on from there in the next verse, 2 verses, and says, I will smite thee, or bruise thee for 2 days. But on the 3rd day, I will raise thee up, and we will dwell together forever. A day is 1,000 years. And in prophecy, it's 1,000 Jewish years, each one of which has 360 days rather than 365 25.
Mm-hmm.
And that was proved by Sir Robert Anderson, who showed that when Jesus rode into Jerusalem on that donkey, that was the exact day, 483 years after Daniel had made the prophecy of when Messiah, the Anointed, would arrive in Jerusalem. And that's why they were throwing down their cloaks and the palm trees in front of them. They've been marking off their calendars for
Mm-hmm.
483 years. They knew that was the day. And sure enough, he was there. And then Sir Robert Anderson calculated back, and he found out that sure enough, that declaration by Artaxerxes was given on the 10th day of Nisan, 483 years before that time. And you can't argue with prophecy.
No, that's absolutely amazing.
It happened.
The Jewish people were looking for, excuse me, we call it Palm Sunday, I guess. And
I have something to say about that too.
And they were looking for someone to beat down the Romans, weren't they? I mean, their idea of the Messiah was that he was going to come in and release them from the Romans that had them under their thumb.
They were looking too far ahead in the prophecies, which is an easy human failing. You can't fault them for being dumb. It's just very, very reasonable for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But talking about Palm Sunday, George, that was Palm Monday.
Palm Monday.
It could not have been Palm Sunday. No way. Because on the Sabbath day, he was in Jericho. Or the day before the Sabbath. I'm not sure which. But he could not have traveled from Jericho to Bethany on the Sabbath, because you can only travel about 1,985 cubits on a Sabbath day. That's about a little less than 1,000 yards, approximately 1,000 yards, and it's 14 miles from Jericho.
That makes sense.
He went the next morning. Is when he rode in to Jerusalem after he had arrived in Bethany. And so they must have traveled from Jericho to Bethany on the first day of the week, which we call Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got up the next morning, and he rode into Jerusalem on Palm Monday.
Palm Monday.
It's not a big deal, but, how can you say anything in the Bible is not a big deal?
Exactly.
There's nothing trivial about the Bible. God timed everything perfectly, and it's interesting for us, and even if it isn't noble, but I think it's important for us to know what happened, when, and to whom, and with which. And that's why I've been into the study in such depth as I have.
It's
Of course, being an engineer and a field artillery gunnery ballistics guy, I mean, we are consumed with details and sharpening the pencil, as it were.
yes, preciseness. Yes, you fellows were very. I was a grunt in the Marine Corps, and I was always glad to know that you fellows were there. And I'm so glad that they were precise and paid attention to details.
It matters.
It really does. Yeah, our nation. And I keep sitting there, and I've been writing notes. One of my notes, Bob's, is contact Mr. Bob to do the series. I just feel that. I just sense that in my spirit that we need to do the series because, well, I already explained that. But as I sit here tonight, and I think about our country, I listened to an interview, excuse me, that you did on, I can't remember, what was it, Cut to the Chase.
Oh, yes, with Marshall.
Yes.
We're good together.
You guys
really
are.
good.
Yeah, you are.
He's a secular Jew.
I kind of figured that.
But he is committed to this book. He loves it because it has the aspect, as I mentioned before, bringing the Jewish people and Christian people closer together. And Marshall is committed to that.
I listened to what was titled something about the tribulation. There was like a 3-part series.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, when I started listening, excuse me, when I started listening to that and reading, that's when I realized that there is no way that anyone can learn or glean too much in one setting. And I just begin to feel that in my spirit then as I sat there and listened and read at the same time. I can't walk and chew bubble gum anymore at the same time, but I was doing that. With the condition of the world, and with all the isms and lisms and, like you said, all the religions that's across this nation and around the world, men, not seemingly, they are doing what's right in their own eyes. There's scales across people's eyes. They don't hear with their ears what God is telling us, much less see. But you said something that something like everyone knows that something is going to happen. They don't.
They're waiting for another shoe to drop.
Yeah, they don't know exactly what it is. They don't know exactly how it is. They're not even sure of. Naturally, they're not sure when it is, but they know it is soon. They don't know anything at all about anything, but they know that there's something in the air and something is going to take place. Do you believe that now that the election is over, do you believe that things are going to be moving at a high rate of speed now?
I know I don't. I could be wrong, but the timing and the wording of God's prophecies intimate to me, imply to me that when Antichrist emerges and when the tribulation begins, it's going to be like everything as usual. Well, it's always been like this. People are being lulled into it slowly now.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, anybody would tell you, oh, listen, we've always had earthquakes. Well, not like this. I've sent off to U.S. Geodetic Survey for a plot of 7 and above since 1910, way back. and it comes to 1980 and so forth, and it goes asymptotic, which that means to people that haven't had that kind of math. It means the curve goes almost straight up. There's been such an increase in earthquakes in the last couple of decades that it just blows your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I was a boy in Chicago, if there was an earthquake in Tokyo that killed 30 people, the Chicago Tribune would have a headline 2 inches high. Wow, big deal, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whole village in Afghanistan or some place like that could be wiped out and be 200 people killed, and it'll be on page 6. Big deal, you know.
Uh-huh.
In fact, day before yesterday, there was one in Guatemala, killed 48 people.
And you didn't hear anything about it.
A lot of people didn't hear about it. It shook buildings in Mexico City, George. It was a biggie. And it was 12 miles deep out in the ocean off of some little town in Guatemala.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't even on land. But people talk about the end of the world. I mean, when the year 2000 came, you know, everybody was saying, oh, this is going to be the end of the world. Oh, my goodness. What are we going to do? Listen, if you read the Bible, you know a whole bunch of things are going to happen before the end of the world.
Yes.
And one of them I talked about a while ago is that Yeshua is going to come back, and he's going to have peace and tranquility worldwide for 1,000 years. But at the end of that, you better have your name written in the book of life. Or too bad. And that's the greeting, the most loving greeting you can give your Jewish friends during Teshuvah, those 40 days of awe before Yom Kippur. Is to tell them, Lashana Tova Tikateru, which means, may you be inscribed in the book of life for a good year.
Mm.
That's the most loving thing they say to each other. Oh, and while we're on that, it says in Talmud that even more important than making your atonement for your sins with the Lord on that day, it's even more important that you resolve any disagreements or altercations you've had with others, friends or relatives or business associates, whatever. They really emphasize that. The Day of Atonement is really, it's the holiest day in Judaism.
So whatever you need to make right, you need to make right.
Yes.
Mm.
That's the day.
You're
Now, Christians will say that every day is the Day of Atonement. I was talking to a rabbi today, an Orthodox rabbi, and I told him the more I study Judaism, the more I see, especially Orthodox Judaism, the closer they seem to be in their teaching. There seems to be really basically one argument, and that is, who is that going to be that stands on the Mount of Olives on that day?
Mm.
And you kind of agreed with me. We're waiting for the same one. They don't agree with that. They don't agree that it's the same person, although I don't know how they can miss it. In Zechariah, it says, they will look upon me whom they have pierced, and they'll mourn for him as for an only son. And then it says a little later, and one will ask him, what are these wounds in thine hands? And he will say, those I received in the house of my friends. And what kind of a picture do I have to draw for you to know who that's talking about? but God has blinded them. You know,
That
he said he was going to
that's
make them jealous.
that's incredible. Because while you was
But he's also done it in order to teach us. We have been able to see from their blindness, or at least I have, and people who have joined me in my work, like you. We see things that they don't see. But they will.
That's absolutely amazing. I never realized that. Which leads me to this question. It might not make any sense at all, but we know that Jesus is coming back. Just as sure as the sun come up this morning, we know it. It's a fact. What are they looking for?
They are looking for Messiah to come. Oh, that's an interesting one. In Talmud, I believe it's in the Tractate of Rosh Hashanah, and it's in maybe a couple other places. Oh, this is really neat. And Barnabas must have been a Talmud student also, because he came up with an epistle that says the same thing. 6 is the number of man. Man shall have 6 days of dominion on earth, each day being 1,000 years. There will be 2 days from Adam until Abraham. And sure enough, Abraham was 2,000 years after Adam. And there will be 2 more days from Abraham until Messiah, son of David. And that timing would be about what we would call the 1st century. Are you with me? But it says, but there were 2 Messiahs. The Messiah, son of Joseph, who was the precursor of Messiah, son of David. That means he came before. And he was killed. They don't say anything more than that. They just say he was killed. And then they say, and because of our disbelief and our sins, Messiah, son of David, has delayed for 2 more days. You know when that is?
2,000 more years, right?
Now, baby.
Now,
And there are other variations on that. But that is one. Somebody asked Rabbi so-and-so, tells in the Talmud, when is Messiah going to come? And he says, oh, it's very sad, but all the predestined dates for the coming of Messiah have passed. And so now we must live a good life and do good works and hope that God will approve of us, you know. Isn't that sad?
It is sad.
Heartbreak.
He's talking like all hope is gone. That's terrible.
Well, all they have is hope. See, that's a difference between Christianity and Judaism. We have that blessed hope. We know where we're going when he comes. They hope that he has them inscribed in the book of life. Daniel tells in chapter 12, 1 and 2, on that day, some will be raised to everlasting life and contentment, and others will be raised everlasting shame and contempt. And that's what I call the Jewish rapture. A lot of evangelical eschatologists they'll take big bunches of people over to Jerusalem every autumn on the Feast of Trumpets to be stand up on the Mount of Olives on Rosh Hashanah, and they think that the rapture is going to be on the Feast of Trumpets because it says the trump of God will sound and so forth, and we'll come up out of the earth, blah blah. Well, I'm sorry, fellas, but all of the prophecies so far have been fulfilled to Jewish people in Jerusalem on the exact day and in the exact order of the way they are given in the book of Leviticus. And the next one is, sure enough, the Feast of Trumpets. And several prophets, Isaiah, I think he announces it twice, and the great trumpet will sound, and I will call thee up out of thy graves, and I will bring you to the holy city. That's going to happen on Rosh Hashanah, 10 days before Messiah, son of Joseph, Messiah, son of David, alights his feet on the Mount of Olives, which will be on the Day of Atonement, when they shall look upon me, when they have pierced, and they will atone for him as they never had. So that's why Jewish people want to be buried in their ossuary on the Mount of Olives, the ones who believe in the resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
Caiaphas was not one of those. The priests were Sadducees, for the most part, who did not believe in the resurrection. They found his ossuary down in the Kidron Valley, southeast of town somewhere there, an indiscriminate place. But Moshe Dayan, Golda Meir, that man Maxwell, the billionaire who drowned out there in the Mediterranean, people who can afford it are buried in their crypt on the Mount of Olives so they can await Messiah, son of David, when he comes. Which says, we shall break through the soil and rise to meet him.
That's incredible.
Well, it costs today about $80,000 for a little spot up there to put your ossuary containing your bones, so you can wait for Messiah.
Mm.
So, Joe Goldman in Los Angeles, what's he going to do? You know,
Yeah.
He's a tailor. $80,000. So the rabbis say, not to worry. It tells about this in the Shulchan Aruch, which is an explanation of the law in the everyday terms. When you are buried, we'll have a little vial of soil from the Mount of Olives or from Israel, either one, and we'll sprinkle it on your burial shroud, which is described in great perfection and detail of what the shroud is, the burial shroud that covers their body when they're let down into their grave. I recently attended a Jewish burial where they did that very thing, and I explained it to the rabbi. He had no clue. But anyway, they sprinkle that soil on there, and so, hey, a deal is a deal, right?
Right.
That's the Mount of Olives. You break through the soil of the Mount of Olives, doesn't matter if it's in Southampton or Poughkeepsie.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Jews worried about, you mean I'm going to have to burrow through the earth from Southampton to Jerusalem? Oh, hey, that'll hurt. No. Don't. No. We're going to sprinkle the soil on you when you're in your crypt and won't have to worry. And that's what I call a Jewish rapture.
I heard a man say one time, the Sadducees were Sadducees.
Right.
The Sadducees were sad, you see, because they don't believe in the resurrection.
And that's why they were so sad.
That's why they were so sad. I need to ask you this before we go. You met with Hal Lindsey, although it wasn't too long.
No.
And he wrote the book, Great Late Planet Earth, or the Late Great
Planet.
Yeah.
And bunch of others.
He was at the time he wrote it, he was considered a real fruit cake, wasn't he? I mean, amongst some peoples.
No, I never heard him named as a fruitcake. I think a lot of people said that he was a promoter and making a big buck from this book and so forth, and putting him down that way. Of course, you didn't hear anybody putting down Dan Brown
Mm-hmm.
when he came out with his book.
He
But Hal Lindsey was he was a boat skipper or a crewman on a Mississippi barge, I think. And he became a believer. He started reading the Word, and he wanted to go to Dallas Theological Seminary. And he only had about an 8th grade education. And they told him, "Well, I'm sorry, you wouldn't be able to take the scholastic demand." And he said, "Give me a test, or just let me be there for a semester and see how I do." And they finally, with much prayer and the Lord's will, they finally condescended. And what do you know? He made it.
and like they say, the rest is history, right?
Huge, right? Yeah, huge success.
Did you get much ridicule or?
Oh yeah.
I was trying to find some more words, but you know exactly where I was going with it.
Yeah. I've had everything. I've had hostility, ridicule, but the most painful of all is ignoring. Nothing. Silence. Deafening silence. But I've encountered all of it. When I first found this story, I thought, holy mackerel, when I tell Moody Bible Institute about this, they will be turning cartwheels. This is the greatest story. Wow. How come nobody ever knew of this? Why didn't anybody ever tell me? Well, anyway, I found it. The Lord led me to it, and here it is, and I got to tell everybody about it. Boy, will they be thrilled. Guess what? First, I called a Moody radio station here locally and told them what I'd found. I wanted to tell the story. The station manager said, "Well, what do you want me to do about it?" And I said, "Well, I'd like to tell the story to people, to believers." And they said, "Well, why don't you go to so-and-so, a local evangelical pastor who had much respect, and he and I were good friends, had been. And I'd gone to some of his classes. And so I went to it, and I told him what I had found. And he turned, I don't know if it was white or purple, with rage, and said, "How dare you even suggest that the Lord would remain in his temple after what they did?" See, I have two problems. I have a problem with the Jewish people because this event says, "Uh-oh, they made a mistake with that carpenter."
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But they treat me more kindly. I've never had treatment from them. All I've had from them is they don't want, no. We don't want to go there. But the church, our brothers, say they want to punish the Israelites because of what they did. Well, they didn't do it. Jesus did it. He planned the whole thing.
Right. Right.
Right down to the last jot and tittle. And you'll find out that when you read about the red heifer ceremony.
People fail to remember or take into account that we're but actors on the stage.
Right.
God is the playwright. He wrote the script, and he'll finish the story. And we need to understand. We need to understand that although I tell my wife sometimes, sometimes I feel like a microscopic speck on this planet. And of course, after 45 years, she tells me, you are a microscopic speck. But anyhow, I say I feel like a microscopic speck. But at the same time, a microscopic speck amongst over 6 billion people on this planet. God knows who I am. God knows where I am. God knows what I need, when I need it, and how to do it for me.
To him, you're not a speck, George.
No, through him, I'm not a speck. But it's just so awesome.
We cannot judge these folks who don't see these things that you and I see. God, for his own purpose and reasons and grace, has not seen fit to reveal it to them yet.
Mm-hmm.
He may not want me to be glorified. He's not going to share his glory with me.
Right.
He may not want me to be glorified by their seeing this and being overwhelmed by it. I think this book will become an underground book during the tribulation.
Now, speaking of the tribulation, and then I'll let you go for tonight. There is within the Christian realms, there is the pre-trib, I call them the pre-trib people, the mid-trib people. I'll trip over myself here, and the end-trib people.
Well, and then there's the amillennialists.
Where do you come in at?
You can't guess.
I
I'm a pre-trib.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it says. You don't have to interpret it. It is there.
And that's our blessed hope.
The other ones have to either ignore some verses or interpret some verses in order to make their story fit.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas our story, when you take all of the verses and put them together, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. I heard someone describe it that way last night. That is a perfect analogy
Yes.
for eschatology. It's a huge jigsaw puzzle. And with the pre-trib eschatology, when you put all the pieces together, you have to have all the pieces. And the story comes out, and it is beautiful. And it's a repetition of what happened the other time God destroyed the world.
Mm-hmm.
Methuselah was a type of the Old Testament saints. He died before the flood. Enoch was his son, and he was pure. He walked with the Lord. He was like the church at Philadelphia.
And he was
as
taken
described by
up.
John. Yes. And he was not found. He was taken up. And Noah and his family were a picture of the world. And he and his family, all the world's population are descended from Noah and his 3 sons and their wives. And so that was a picture of the tribulation. Enoch, being a picture of the church, was taken away before the tribulation of the flood. Whereas the Jews, represented by Noah and his family, went through the tribulation, endured it, and were preserved by God. God, numerous times, you know, through the Bible, there are events and circumstances and stories that are repeated. Oh, like I was telling a while ago about Jeremiah and Josephus. You know, Josephus preaching to to the people of Jerusalem almost verbatim for what Jeremiah had told.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing how it all comes together, like you said, like a jigsaw puzzle. Mr. Bob, and ladies and gentlemen, I need to tell you this before I let Mr. Bob go for tonight. Guaranteed he'll be back, I promise. You can go to Amazon and get the book. It's on Kindle. I see it on the Kindle edition. $8.99. Get the book. It's like 692 pages, and it is written in a way that us ordinary people can understand, and it will captivate you. It'll catch you. It'll get a grip on you, and whether you're a Christian or whether you're not, it will find its way into you, and you will find its way into it, and through it all, you'll be led through the Word, and you'll see how things are. So go to Amazon.com and look for the book, Jesus and the Third Temple, the complete guide to...
I would like to add that you can also obtain it from the publisher, Your Own World Books, or YOWBooks.com.
YOW Books.
Go on that site and put in Jesus and the Third Temple, or put in my name, Reiland, and it'll come up. And you can order it from the publisher, or you can also get it from Barnes & Noble. It isn't just Amazon. That's what I wanted to point out.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, from the publisher, it's out there. And I would recommend, ladies and gentlemen, please go get it. Nowadays, you don't even got to go to the store. You can just sit here and punch a button on the computer, and bingo, you got it. I'm a real Kindle person, so I love my Kindle. I've had my Kindle for a number of years now, and I just love it. And I do this all the time. So do yourself a favor, treat yourself, get the book, Jesus and the Third Temple. We have not even, you talk about not even scratching the surface. I don't even know if we touched the surface enough to even scratch it tonight. There's amazing things in this book, and it's all word-based. That's what I like. It's word-based. So we're going to continue this. Mr. Bob, I will get up with you. If not tomorrow, I'll get up with you over the weekend, if that's all right. And perhaps we can sit down and we can set up our schedule and so on and so forth, our game plan.
Yeah, we can map out how we're going to go through it.
Yes.
What chapters and so forth.
And then
Wonderful.
We'll announce when we're going to do that, and the whole 9 yards. It just I'm so glad that you was with us.
My publisher will be thrilled with this, George.
Good. I like to make people.
Do you know Marshall?
No. But
he will be thrilled.
I like to make people happy. But seriously, I want to say again, today when I was listening to an interview and I was reading the materials, I just felt in my spirit, this needs to be heard. If just one person walks to the cross because of this, then we're happy, and it's been worthwhile. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear a lot from our friend, Mr. Robert Reiland. Oh, Bob, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. And I will get up with you either tomorrow or Saturday, and we can sit down and chart all this stuff out. Thank you for coming, and God just richly bless you. And again, thank you for your service. Thank you for your life. and thank you for the book. And may God bless you.
Amen.
So I'll talk at you later.
All right.
All righty, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Fascinating material. Fascinating material. We are going to make plans. Even if we have to start another show, which we're able to do. We're capable to do that. That's no problem. Even if we have to start another show where Bob and I sit down and he takes us through this book, Jesus in the Third Temple. Trust me. You need to hear it. I need to hear it. We have friends, family, loved ones that needs to hear it. So let's make sure they hear it. Thank you, Mr. Bob, from the bottom of my heart. This is going to be an exciting journey. I told you several months ago, I don't know, during the summertime, things have really been moving, since the first part of July. Things have really been popping on the radio show and for the radio show. But I told you, I don't know where this show is going. I have no idea. But I do have enough sense. I know most of you think I'm a dingbat. Of course, we do come to you live from the Funny Farm, but nonetheless, I do have enough sense to know, and I've been around long enough to know, that when things are falling in place and you are being led in a direction, a certain direction, I have enough sense to understand there's a reason for that. So just fall in step and go where you're being led to go. So I have no idea. I said that in articles that I've written. I've said that on the air. I have said that on other radio shows. I have said it everywhere I've been and everywhere I put pen to paper, that I've got enough sense. Although I don't know where it's leading, I've got enough sense to walk the path that I'm being shown. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I did find out a long time ago, although I haven't always done it, I did find out a long time ago that if you go down the path that's been laid out before you, not by your own wannabes or this and that and those and these, if you do that, it'll lead to good things. And good things will happen to a lot of people. So, that's what we're going to do. I'm just thrilled. So help me. Tell people about it. Jesus and the Third Temple. It is a tremendous book. It is loaded. If you want to know such things about Russia, Israel, the United States, Iran, so on and so forth, then you tune in when we start this series. You tune in, and you are going to find some real down-to-earth facts. There's some real deep secrets that's been revealed and come out. And you're going to find out, if you're interested, which I'm sure you are, in the immediate future, and you know there's something in the air, but you just can't put your finger on it, you listen to us when we start our series. And all of a sudden, the light will come on. It'll dawn on you. That's what it's all about. I'll be back right after this.
If you whisper my name, tonight is another lonely night.
Wasn't that pretty? Huh? Yep, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the George Espinlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. We don't know where that is. We don't know where we live. We just know we live in a place called Our World. We have no specific mailing address. We have no mailbox. We just know we live in our world, and we're happy with that because it's much more safer in our world than it is in yours. And we invite you, we invite you wherever you're at, down the street, around the corner, across this nation, or around the world. We invite you to listen to the George Espinlaub Show each and every night, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, coming to you live from here on the Funny Farm. Many come, few leave. It's their choice, not ours. We ask you to become a full-fledged loon. All you have to do to become a full-fledged loon is show up at showtime. Come in. We have our Funny Farm radio studio. We pack them in here, standing room only. When no more fits, they're outside on the grounds. We have the speakers and the monitors on the side of the building so people can watch and listen. They dance out in the parking lot and on the grounds. They dance in here. We love lots of music around here. Lots of music. We don't sleep too much. You know, people like us just don't sleep too much. We catnap and then we're up. We're ready to go. Someone's always around 24/7. Our chief cook, one of our chief cooks, we have several chief cooks because we have such a big clientele here. One of our chief cooks, Marcia Groom, she works the like from 6 at night to 6 in the morning shift, I guess you call it. So you know, people are always up moving around in what you call the middle of the night. It's just normal for us, but she's always got food in the cafeteria and goodies, and you'll hear people singing, and you'll hear bands that they form playing and practicing. You'll hear ladies in their having their bridge games and, you know, whatever they do there. There's all kinds of activity going on here at the Funny Farm. All you have to do to qualify to become a full-fledged loon is show up. We don't make you buy anything. We don't ask you to sign anything. Just show up. Show up. We have an airport here that flies people in. And when the airplanes take off to go to other destinations out there in the real world, there are always less people on the airplane going out than there was that came in, because people just choose to like it here. They do. They like it here. So we invite you. And not only that, if you become a full-fledged loon, we also want you to become a member of the Raisin Nation. The Raisin Nation. Eat raisins. You would be surprised what raisins do for you. I'll be right back.
From the Let me give you solutions. Let me give you my attitude. Let me understand you. Let me open the door. Let me lift you up when you're down on the floor. Let me color your paintings. Let me show you the way. Let me deal with the horror so you can smile again. Wake you up from your little black angel. Let me give you my wings so you can fly again, my little black angel. Let me give you my strength so you can dream again, my little black angel. Let me give you my wings so you can fly again, my little black angel. Let me give you my strength so you can dream again, my little black angel. Let me give you my wings so you can fly again, my little black angel. Let me give you my strength so you can dream again, my little black angel. Let me give you my wings so you can fly again.
Hey, did we play that song twice? Charlie, did we play that song twice? Well, you're the guy. You're the guy that makes the music work around here. Yeah, I know. Why do you do that all the time? That's simple. It don't matter if you played it twice. That's good. I mean, you're the guy that's pushing buttons, sliders, doing all that stuff. I'm just trying to always remember, since we've used the new method here. I'm just trying to remember to keep my microphone, turn my microphone back on when I need to, because I had my sign, turn mic button on, turn mic button on. I have it, turn mic button on, turn mic button on, turn mic button on. I've got to tell myself, hey, thank you for all that have joined us tonight. We are attempting to make the best show possible. We don't want it to be a bore. In fact, I don't think it's ever been a bore. We have had some. We started taking guests, I think, the first part of July. I think that's when we first started taking guests. Maybe the last day of June. Regardless, from the first part of July, 1st of July, when we started taking guests, we have had tremendous, and I say this almost every night, we have had some of the most tremendous people on this show that you could imagine. And the wonderful thing is, go to Spreaker.com and just go up there in the little search box up there and type in The George Espenlaub, Espenlaub, The George Espenlaub Show. Every show that we have done is archived. You can go back to the very beginning when we would do maybe one show a week, or one show every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and so on and so forth. Then we was having some problems, and then my mom had her cancer situation diagnosed in January. So but the first part of July, we made up our mind that we was going to run a consistent radio show Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and we did. Since then, we have had such marvelous guests on. And if you are a all-the-time listener, you have heard them. So you can go back to the archives and you can hear the first radio show that we've done here on this network. And you can just follow us and watch how we evolved, how the show evolved, and what happened, what began to happen when we started to take guests on. That's why I say things are happening. I'm not going to fight it. We're being led in a certain direction. I don't know exactly how it's all going to end up, but we're going to go. We're just going to go along with the flow. But since July, this radio show has been growing in leaps and bounds, and it's all because of you. And we want to put on the best show that we possibly can. Tonight, I want to thank again Mr. Bob Reiland for coming. He has written the book, 692 pages, quite thorough. He is an astronomical engineer. He's retired now. He is a veteran of the Second World War. There's not many of those fellows left anymore. A veteran of the Korean War. He was an artillery field officer during the Korean War. He had been in aeronautics for his entire adult life, and he said tonight that he has worked on some of the most fabulous flying machines that the world has ever seen, and he will share more of that with us. We're going to, even if I start another program, another show, which we have the capabilities of doing, even if we start another show, we're going to do a series with Mr. Bob Reiland on his book, Jesus in the Third Temple. If you're interested in the future, join us. We will make all the plans and get down to the details of what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, and how we're going to do it. And trust me, our listeners will be the first to know. But I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in and being with us and growing with us and telling other people about us. It is just a thrill to be able to know that we have listeners. Literally, I'm not exaggerating, I'm not making this up. We have listeners down the street, around the corner, across this nation, and around the world. And to all our friends everywhere, I thank you for tuning in, and I thank you for being with us night after night. So we're going to continue to make the show the best we possibly can, but we need your help to do it, and I mean that. It's almost time to leave here tonight. We'll play some more music before we go. What about that? But I want you to know I appreciate you so very, very much. To all you that have had birthdays, happy birthday. You know me and that Facebook birthday dooflicky thing. I can't get it right. So if I miss you on Face, I try to stay up with it. I don't always get it right. But happy birthday to all my friends far and wide. If you had a birthday this month or last month and I missed it, please forgive me. Happy birthday to each and every one of you. Tomorrow night, Friday already, my goodness, we will have a young lady, Crystal Hickerson. There I go, stumbling and tripling over my tongue again. Crystal Hickerson will be with us. She is the author of a book entitled The Volunteer. And I know that you'll be happy to hear what this young lady says tomorrow night. Just another fabulous guest. Last night, we had Lisa and Dave with us, who wrote the book Destination Dealey, about the JFK assassination. Wonderful. It was wonderful. If you didn't hear it last night, go to the archives, Spreaker.com. In the search box, type in there the George Espinlaub Show. ESPENLAUB. And do that. We have guests lined up for the rest of the year and into the new year. And what the wonderful thing is people are contacting us wanting to come on the show. I think that speaks well for the show. And I think that our guest, I get so many nice replies after someone leaves the show the next day or so, thanking me for having them. Listen to me, to all of our guests that we have had in the past, and to all our guests who we have had this week. It is my privilege to sit behind this microphone and listen to you, such fine people. So it's my privilege, and I'm so thankful to be able to do this. Here's something that maybe I don't need a doctor.
I know what's in me. I don't need no doctor, 'cause I know what's in me. I've been too long away from my baby, yeah. Coming down with my misery. My prescription to be fair, I don't need no doctor. My prescription to be fair. I've been too long away from my baby, yeah. Come on down with my misery. To say I need rest, all I need is standing this. Put me on the cracker list. All I need is jazz with kiss. Got me dedication, but I need to see my emotion, yeah, yeah.
We're going to get ready to get out of here tonight. And one more time, I want to say thank you to all of you that have tuned in, whether you live down the street, around the corner, across this nation, or around the world. I want to thank you for being with us tonight on the George Espinlaub Show, live from the Funny Farm. Yeah. Now, you need to know, after we go off the air, things don't stop here at the Funny Farm. They just keep going on and on and on and on. We're always into something. We're always doing something. We're always looking for something. Most of the time, we're looking for something because I can't remember where I put it. No, we're always looking to get into something. We're always looking to do something. Sometimes we do it right, sometimes we do it wrong. But anyhow, you can't blame us for not at least doing it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we try. Email me, George C.E. That's George C.E. at Comcast.net. Email me, George C.E. at Comcast.net. Let me know where you're at, what you're doing, what's up, what's down, whatever. George C.E. at Comcast.net. Now remember, there's a whole lot of love coming to you from the Funny Farm. So wherever you're at, whatever you're going through, deep, dark valley, a vicious storm, heartaches, trial and tribulation, you have a friend right here. Email me, GeorgeCE at Comcast.net. Wherever you're at, if it's tonight, have a good night. If it's already tomorrow, have a great day. But regardless, until tomorrow night, same time, same station, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, live from here on the Funny Farm. This is George Espinrod saying good night and God bless you.